So what I love about some of these contemporary songs, I listen to a song like that, I'm talking to God. So, some of these love songs, that we listen to can be related to God. Um, this morning, to also enhance our senses, will be the beautiful um, meditation that is going to be given by Pat Kruger. So, Pat, if you'd like to unmute yourself.
Good morning. Okay. First of all, I love this chapter because laughter is very important to me. And I got to thinking, if you have funny people in your life, you are blessed. You are absolutely blessed. And I think laughter can be a form of prayer. I thought about it a lot this week. And I also got to thinking about what Barbara said last week, the little mantra that she gave, I'm here, God is here. I'm here. And I've been trying to say that this week. So I got to thinking of all the different ways that we pray and how I'm at least prone to compartmentalize. And today is the laundry day, and so I'm focusing on that, or today is the going out and shopping day, or whatever it is. We compartmentalize rather than looking at life as a whole, as everything is sacred, everything is holy. And so I'm trying to concentrate on that a little bit more. So the meditation I have comes from Give Us This Day, which I love. That's one thing I've been able to do consistently, is to read Give Us This Day. The meditations are great, the mass is in there. And this meditation kind of spoke to me. It's by a woman named Michelle Francie Donnet. Just to give you a little background, she's a wife and mother, a professor of chemistry, an adjunct scholar at the Vatican Observatory. I found that very impressive. Plus, she writes spiritual reflections. So this is quite a lady. Anyway, this is how it goes. Let's hope I can read it in the dark. I'm going to turn the light on. Hang on. It's called The Temple of Every Day. I sat in the last pew in my parish church, praying enfolded in the syrupy warmth of a late summer day, alone except for God and the spirits of all those who prayed here before me. The light of the presence lamp danced in the dimness of the sanctuary, ivory walls smudged with color from the stained glass windows. Cicadas buzzed, my phone did not. Prayer in this space seemed to be as simple as breathing, like the prophetess Anna, who Luke tells us never left the temple. I long to stay here, caught up in beauty and prayer, caught up in God for the rest of my days. Instead, I went home and made dinner. As I chopped vegetables, I thought of a scene in the film Into Great Silence, which chronicles a year in a Carthusian monastery high in the Alps. A monk is chopping celery in silence, awash in light from the kitchen window. The thunk of his knife on the well-worn cutting board echoes the rhythm of the Psalms the monk chants day in and day out, making a prayer out of the ordinary. I worry that I want prayer to be an extraordinary experience, that I want to keep prayer reserved to sacred spaces, to come to prayer completely tidy, my metaphorical counters cleared and the dishes washed, not up to my elbows in suds, facing a sink full of pots. I want to be eloquent. I want to be silent and composed before the creator of all things. I want to be wholly present. I want to be holy. But I suspect God is unbothered by the awkwardness of my prayers or the unpretentious surroundings in which I make them. God is as delighted to join me in the kitchen amid the potato peelings and unwashed pots as he is to find me quiet and still before the tabernacle. As Teresa of Avila Riley told her Carmelite sisters, entre los pucheros anda el Señor. If you are in the kitchen, the Lord walks among the pots and pans. Whether in the temple like Anna or in the kitchen like Saint Teresa, God besieges us. As extraordinary as it is to be drawn into a relationship with the immanent and transcendent triune God, prayer is meant to be an ordinary part of our lives, like the making of dinner and doing the dishes. It is what sustains us. In his short book, The Need and the Blessing of Prayer, theologian Karl Rahner, S.J., advises, prayer in the everyday, pray in the everyday, pray every day. Like the Desert Fathers who wove baskets to the simple rhythm of the Jesus prayer, Lord Jesus Christ, Son of the living God, have mercy on me. Ask for mercy as you peel the potatoes. Place yourself in the presence of God as you fold the laundry. Say grace before your mid-morning cup of coffee. Trace the sign of the cross on your child's forehead before they go to sleep. Bless the ordinary moments every day. And perhaps then we can be like Anna, praying night and day in the temple of this world, knowing every space holy, every moment sacred. That's it.
So gorgeous, Pat. It reminds me when I was a young mother and I used to try to take all my little kids to daily mass with me, and they were never very good. So the priest one day, after my kids had been exceptionally loud during mass, said, you know, Helene, sometimes your altar just needs to be your kitchen sink.
Yeah.
He taught me that lesson. And, you know, I never took on the prayer at my kitchen sink, but to this day, every single time I open my dryer and fold clothes, I say Hail Marys. To this day, I do it. And I've always said, you know, Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for Pat now and at the hour of her death. I always add a person's name to the end. So I'm sure I say thousands of Hail Marys every month as I anyways, thank you. That was really beautiful. And that gave me a good memory. So Matthew Kelly is beginning this section. And he starts, he says, the genius behind humor and laughter is God. Laughter being essential to the human experience. He says, laughter being medicine for the body, it holds healing power. He goes on in length with all the powerful effects of laughter. But my favorite is it creates a sense of belonging and it bonds people together. So isn't that exactly what Jesus came for? A sense of belonging. We belong to him.
Go ahead and listen.
Joy to the world, you know, at his birth, joy. We brought joy to the world. Come, let us adore him. So with joy comes smiles, and smiles sometimes turn into laughter. And then the best of all laughter sometimes overwhelms us and turns into belly laughter, my very favorite kind. Joy that comes from deep within. Matthew Kelly then turns joy and laughter into humor, and he asks us, where is humor experience of God, religion, and spirituality? Humor meaning the quality of being amusing or comic. So it did bring back a few memories of a young, newly ordained Father Steve Salat when assigned to Our Lady Queen of Angels back in the 80s. Our pastor at the time was an elderly fire and brimstone preacher. So then walks in the young Steve Salat. One Sunday, I remember him processing in with a paper bag head. It was the time when the unknown show was popular. I'm going to stop
Thank you.
and silence somebody. That might help. Okay, so it was the time of the Gong Show. So Father Steve wanted to be known as the unknown priest. He brought humor. It made everybody sit at the edge of their seat to see what he was going to say and wonder what this man was going to do next. Another Sunday, Father Steve carried under his arm as he processed in the game of life, using it as a prop for his homily. And then at another one of the masses, one of the kid masses, I'll never forget, he had 20 teddy bears lined up on the altar, helping the kids to find humor and compassion. So Matthew Kelly writes, humor can draw people in to listen, to improve memory and retention, and to increase learning by reducing classroom anxiety. I believe that Father Steve reduced the anxiety inside the church with his humor. And as the months wore on, I noticed more and more people coming to Mass, more and more people getting involved. Father Steve was a great homilist. He still is to this day. But his humor never took away from the message of the gospel. It enhanced the reality of the message, bringing it to the present moment. People could relate to his homilies. He made them feel that they belonged. So it confirmed to me what Matthew Kelly wrote. Humor creates a sense of belonging and it bonds people together. Humor to me is very, very holy. Humor, again, turned into joy, represents the good news of the Gospels. Another man that I believe is a master at this is Monsignor John Urell. Monsignor has a wonderful gift of bringing humor and joy into his homilies, into the community, the staff. His joy is contagious. Yesterday, I was writing this and I heard Monsignor walking down the hallway and he was singing a little jaunty tune. It instantly brought a smile to my face. He also has a wonderful sense of humor. A few weeks ago, I used a song for an opening prayer with the Ignatian group. The song was called Draw Me by Father Rob Galea, but the song was accompanied by a video with a young man and a woman dancing. It was kind of a stretch for me to use this song in this video, but I wanted the group to see how a creative person could find God and do their prayer through dance. So the young male dancer wore a simple white tunic and white tights. Monsignor had joined us that night online, and right after the song was finished, he said to the group, "I've been wondering where that video of me in tights was. I haven't seen that in years." So it instantly brought joy and laughter to the group. That is one of his great gifts. Matthew Kelly then writes about how the Gospels don't show a lot of examples as Jesus having a sense of humor. And he disagrees, and I love the example that he uses. He says there are 13 guys spending all that time together, 13 guys. He writes, there must have been some epic moments. So I've never really quite thought of Jesus and his apostles as 13 guys, but you know what? That's exactly who they were. And it really made me think, here we are, a group of women. And I always say women need each other. We're different than men. But I forget that men also need each other. So my husband, Tom, was the chief of the Indian Guides one year. He was the head honcho, and one of his duties was ordering and housing all of the Christmas wreaths that the boys had sold that year as their fundraiser. So Tom planned one night for all the dads and boys to come to our house and pick up their orders. And we thought, wouldn't it be fun to make a batch of hot chocolate for the boys and a batch of hot apple pie for the dads? Now, hot apple pies are an alcoholic beverage that we enjoy during our ski trips. It's hot apple cider spiked with tuaca, which is an Italian liqueur, and then you top it with whipping cream. It literally tastes like a piece of hot apple pie. Then the men, the guys that needed to be with one another so much, I think they spent a little bit too much time talking, and they definitely had a little too many hot apple pies because they were getting a bit tipsy as they gathered. So I told Tom, you need to get these men moving. There's going to be trouble. So Tom took this as an invitation to take the group on a spontaneous Christmas caroling walk through our neighborhood. The little boys were ecstatic. They took off running. They were ringing doorbells, knocking on doors, while the slightly tossed dads began singing Christmas carols at the top of their lungs. They were gone for quite a long time, and I literally could hear them from blocks away. But the sound of the boys' laughter and the men singing gave me a great sense of joy. And I believe that God laughed that night. Maybe at me for liquoring up the men, but most likely for the joy that the neighborhood was experiencing. Thank God by the time they got back, they had all sobered up. It was a wonderful evening. My husband still meets with some of these men today because men, they need each other also. Matthew Kelly asked, where do we find humor in our spirituality? So we have to keep in mind that our spiritual life, our spirituality is every moment of every day. That evening with the Indian guides was a very holy evening filled with humor and laughter and love that has bonded them together. As far as Jesus and humor, I totally agree with Matthew Kelly. Humor entails fun, laughter, and belonging. And I've always called Jesus a party animal, someone who likes to enjoy themselves. And I follow up this wild belief with the example of the wedding feast at Cana. Jesus's very first public miracle was turning water into wine, and not just any wine, but the best wine. I believe that Jesus really wanted this couple celebrated. And what better way to celebrate than with a meal, good wine, and friends? That has become one of the rituals with my family of friends. Celebrate. Got a new job? Come to dinner. Let's celebrate. Having a baby? Great. Let's have a party and celebrate. Did you graduate? Are you engaged? Is it your birthday, anniversary? Did you get a new car? Lose weight? Come on over. Let's celebrate. Life is hard. So anytime for me, there's an opportunity to celebrate, to be together, I gather my friends around me. So this is the one ritual that I have missed the most since COVID, being together to celebrate. And I believe that to be the same for Jesus. Jesus loves us. Jesus wants to spend time with us. He was constantly inviting himself to people's homes, spending time, breaking bread. There was most certainly love shared, joy shared, and laughter shared. I don't know why it wasn't written about, but Jesus gives us all the permission to be those party animals, to laugh, to love, and to celebrate. Jesus also inspires us to use our own sense of humor when he wants us to lighten up a bit. Some people truly are creative geniuses. Several years ago, I attended a birthday party for a very wonderful but very hoity-toity priest friend of mine. He is hyper intelligent. He is always exquisitely groomed and dressed. He is quite formal. The genius host of this birthday party, knowing exactly who he was, created a theme using humor. It was to be a tacky party, the complete opposite of what this priest was. So you were to come dressed in your most tacky, mismatched outfits. The party was hosted in their backyard, which had not been mowed or swept. They even tossed a bunch of leaves inside their jacuzzi. The celebration began with appetizers, which consisted of multi-flavored canned Cheez Whiz with Ritz crackers thrown on a table. The beverage table had open bottles of alcohol. It was help yourself. The glasses were empty baby food jars with labels that had been partially torn off. Then came the gifts. Someone brought a velvet glow-in-the-dark painting of Jesus. Another gift was an oversized Jesus wristwatch. It was an amazing evening. The best part for me was watching my friend, the priest, engage with all the guests. The humor did not offend him. In fact, he was so filled with joy. As he opened his gifts, he roared with laughter. Dinner, of course, was amazing, served with very fine wine, much more like him. But it was another really, really holy evening, and I believe God belly laughed that night. Matthew Kelly asks, what does God's laughter sound like to you? What brings God's joy? He gives us really beautiful examples. The smile of a brand new baby, a bird flying high in the sky, the anticipation of a first kiss, a new beginning, a fresh start, the morning breeze, the love of an amazing parent, a long drink of cold water on a hot day, the beach, the mountains, the roar of a lion, the gentle touch of a mother. He says when God laughs, all of our senses become one and our entire being radiates with joy. Matthew Kelly ends by going back to his prayer time. He writes about how his relationship with Jesus grew, how his time in prayer expanded. But could it be because he now experienced a different God, a joyful God, a laughing Jesus? How easy is it to spend some time with someone you really enjoy? Whoa, there goes my talk. Sorry. Matthew Kelly invites us to let go of our busyness, to go beyond the shallow and superficial places of this world and to seek out those deep places. He says it's in these deep places that the most wonderful experience await all of us. A place where all of your senses do become one and your entire being radiates and overflows with joy. So all of this joy and love remind me of a holiday that we're about to celebrate on Sunday. Sunday is Valentine's Day, a day of love. So right now, I'd like us to take some time and reflect. Where is your love overflowing right now? Where might your joy be overflowing? A day of love. What is it, or who is it that your love overflows for right now, or who are you most grateful for? It could be a loved one or a friend, or it could be a beautiful garden that's been well tended and is in bloom. It could be music that you're playing or listening to. It could be a piece of art that you're creating, a painting or a poem. Maybe it's a precious pet. Could it be new hope or a new dream that makes your heart overflow right now? Heck, it could be a vaccine offering hope. What brings you joy? Where is the love from deep in your heart being directed today? For whom should we be thankful for this gift of love and joy? In honor of St. Valentine's Day, I thought we could write a love letter to God, thanking him for what is filling our heart right now, thanking him for this precious book that has helped us to recognize what God's laughter sounds like. So this will be our 10 minutes of prayer today. I'm going to play some music, and I'd like you to sit and reflect on where your heart is, what brings you joy, who or what that joy is attached to right now, and then just write God a letter thanking him for the ability just to have that love and joy through him. So enjoy 10 minutes. I'll put on some music.